I'm gonna say that. I'm trying to figure out how that worked out.
Okay, ready, set, on you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. I'm here with the boys, Petey and Kyle. Two different people, not one. So just today we're going to be talking about Alan Moore. Yeah, he's made some pretty controversial statements over the years, but he recently gave a Deadline interview where he basically talked about, as the creator of Watchmen, he talked about how comics are not great, so basically for kids, and superheroes are for kids, and he preferred Adam West's version of Batman because he doesn't take himself too seriously. So hey guys, look at the article. What are your thoughts on it? Cal, throw it in a little bit.
Oh man, I got nothing.
I don't know why you would do that. He already said
I don't know why you did that either. Yeah, I really don't. Yeah.
I want to see how much nothing you got. But Petey, what's your take on it?
I think, and I saw this, and then I saw friends of mine putting this on Facebook, and I'm gonna sort of mirror those statements and saying at this point, Alan Moore really, they're just asking him to get these quotes that these salacious quotes where he tears something down, and this is basically what he's doing. And it's not, the thing is, like, he's already retired, and most of the time when people get retired or something like that, like Will Eisner or even Jack Kirby, at some point Jack would say something bad about Stan, but ultimately he would basically talk about the comics and say, hey, they look gorgeous. Look at the printing. So I don't read them. I haven't read one in a while, but hey, if they got John Byrne's name on it, it's probably good. Like he basically say stuff that was, as someone who's retired, that being like, your face is on stun, Kirk out. Like that's basically what it would be. Well, more is like, and some of the sentiment is stuff that possibly would be good for comics because there's some things that are going in different ways and moving away from kids, but in the time, like he talks about disowning The Killing Joke, well, he disowned it very quietly. He was in the interview, I think in the 90s. This is well after the Batman movie, after they said The Killing Joke is so great. No, he didn't come out and say blasphemy, it's terrible. Like he could have done all of that. All the other stuff he's complained about it, but it's only in the 90s where he's kind of saying, he only half disowned it because he said, hey, they are stuck in this internal struggle, is this eternal struggle where they can't get out, meaning that they're fictional characters and they'll never go and but they don't know that. Batman doesn't know that he's an immortal character and he'll be fighting those same, not just the Joker, all of those same villains over and over again. So ultimately, I think the hard part for me, and ultimately Adam West is the greatest detective if you look at the TV Batman. So there's positives in the TV Batman. The problem is that Alan Moore could have said this in the 90s when the Image guys were going extreme, and he was like, give me that money for Bad Rock, Bad Rock Violator. I'm saying, even when he was doing, he was doing Supreme, which was a kind of harkening back. But before that, there was all this dark stuff. And then Supreme has a lot of dark stuff to it too. It had some of the stuff that we were just talking about in our Invincible thing. There's some heavy things that happened to, I think, Supreme's girlfriend, Judy, that happened, the connection to the villain and all that stuff. So there was that sort of turning of the screw there. So, even look at whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. That's one of the darkest stories with the classic Kurt Swan art. So we could have used some more, really, I guess you can look at his, what's the name? He finally started to give you, even though it's very cynical quality, Tom Strong is the closest to him being sort of nostalgic and really kind of embracing the childlike quality. But it's still some cynicism in there too. So, but ultimately they bring him out just to complain. And that's the thing that we, and him being on the other side of it, he's like, hey, I disowned that a long time ago. It's like, yeah, of course now you're disowning it now because you're saying that it's all positive. You're saying that the comics are bad. But if you're the fire starter, and Watchmen is a part of the big fire, and V for Vendetta, they turn into you and say, "What about comics?" And you're like, "Yeah, I kind of pushed it too far. Maybe I should have tried to keep it in the vein, but I was trying to really make a name for myself. I didn't really expect it to blow up like it did. Something like that, where you kind of
Right,
takes it in."
but do you think he? But I'm saying, do you think that he was ahead of the game in being as violent and controversial as he was, or was he following the market as it is? So now it seems more standard. Back then, it seemed that he was really ahead of the game in terms of that. So he's turning around and flipping out. What do you take? What are you saying?
I'm saying he pushed it further, even though there was tough stuff. But I mean, if you look at the tougher stuff, I think it's like Tim Vigil's Grips, or look at Black Kiss, something stuff like that, it's alternative stuff. Marvel comics outside of the Punisher, like they weren't really, or Daredevil, they weren't really showing you the blood and all that stuff. They had violent stuff in there. I think sort of getting into the psychology of some of the stuff. And there's some stuff that was already out there in some comics, but they were kind of trying to hide it, not put it out, and more was kind of giving you, like you look at the Rorschach origin, that's really a close thing where you had a character that had some really psychological, real dark stuff in it. So, and that's what people kind of took to. All the other stuff, it's like, no, people look at Punisher, it's like, exit wound. There's no real exit wound. You see the shirt and the point, but you don't see the thing come through, that sort of thing. And it's like, no, this is is before even Sin City or Hard Boiled by Frank Miller. So, you got to give him some of that. The direction was going that way, but he kind of said, this is where we should go. The heroes, the superheroes themselves need to be darker. And you could see that sort of take flight with his work.
So if he's now pushing himself away from the Killing Joke, which has sold a lot of comics and has done a animated movie, is he giving back the royalties to distance himself away from that?
He probably is now. That's one of his. I mean,
I doubt it.
No, because he was taking the royalties whenever he could, at points. Because obviously you always need money. I think when he started the it wasn't full self-publishing, but he was starting to get into that for like Big Numbers, and I think From Hell was a backup. One of who's that guy? Steve Bissett's book, and he was trying to self-publish, and we had the Lost Girls. There's a bunch of projects that were supposed to be higher-end comic stuff that weren't really selling. Nope. So there's a point where he needed money. So I'm pretty sure all that period he was accepting it. Now he's too rock and roll to be like, to accept stuff. Like he'd be like, no, I'm not accepting Miracle Man. Watchmen's going to the artists. This and that's going to the artists. When, in the past, he's taking money from the movies, from Hell and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I think he doesn't, being caught out there saying, hey, why did you take the money? He doesn't want to be in that place where he has to own up to it. So, but he gets money probably from any Tom Strong stuff, and obviously the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That's probably,
and the Watchmen.
No, he sent that to Dave Gibbons. He got to be too rock and roll. You can't be like, I too punk rock. I can't accept that. That's me.
That's a lot of money, bro. That's a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, Kyle, anything continue to contribute? Well, thanks everybody for listening for us. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, comment.
Get the 5 minutes to it. You said, you meant us.
Spirak.
He went to get a sandwich. I think he's went to get a sandwich right now.
Macaroni and cheese.
Spirak
Out.